What is up? What is up, guys? I am recording this slightly later than I normally do, which won't really matter because this drops at 9 a.m. tomorrow. But normally, the first thing I do in the morning is come in here and record a podcast. Um, just got done doing my 50 push ups. It's getting easier, but I still breathe hard. Um, but guys, there's been a lot going on in the background over the last little bit. I feel like these last 9 months have. Whew, I'm gonna take a sec. um, but I feel like these last 9 months have just been building nonstop, guys. And it's interesting because it's like the goal in business is always to have that exponential growth, and get to that point where the business is thriving and doing well and growing with or without you, right? Like that's the main point of running a business is getting it to the point where it's basically self-sufficient and people are able to do their jobs and grow within their roles, um, whether you are there or not. And then the interesting thing is every company has kind of the same progression. And I don't know, I'm kind of getting off topic, I guess. I don't know if we even have a topic, but my point being, um, every business kind of goes the same way where it's like you start the business, you focus so much energy and time into growing it, putting money into it, and doing whatever it takes to get it up and going. And then it's like eventually it gets to a point where it's able to grow and scale on its own. And then the shift happens where you're no longer in management. I mean, you kind of are, but the next step is social media, or I guess you could say attention, right? If you paid attention to any big entrepreneur, like Alex Hormozi is a prime example of this, the dude probably doesn't really even, I mean, I'm sure he does a lot in his day-to-day business, but his primary focus now is on his content, right? Because that brings people to the business and allows the business to thrive. And that's something that he's really gotten dialed in. But anyways, these last 9 months have really, really just been laying the foundation. You know what I mean? So we've been doing a lot to lay the foundation, put the systems in place, and bring on the right people in order to help, Sovereign Lifestyle really just take off. And it's crazy because this last month it has done really, really well. And we're getting to a point where it's like we should start seeing some exponential growth, which is really good. Um, anyways, my point being with that when you start, and this is something that Sovereign Lifestyle is my first business. So it really just kind of, I've made every mistake along the way, and that's why it's taken 5-6 years to get here. But to expand off of the last podcast, you have to start with the end in mind, right? And that's one thing that I didn't really do that great of a job with is what's the vision? What's the goal? And you have to get extremely, extremely clear on that. And I'm sure I've talked about this. I mean, I talked about it in the last episode, but you have to know exactly where you're going. You have to know the exact impact that you want to make on the world. Otherwise, nobody else can buy into that. And that's something that I've really had to drop my ego and face over the last little bit is I didn't have a vision. My vision was kind of be a successful coach, I guess, right? And that's not really a vision. So with that being said, I've taken a long, the last couple weeks and really just dissected what the vision of Sovereign Lifestyle is. And it's been interesting because it's at that point you start to reflect on your journey, right? You have to look at what did I get through in order to be here? What inspired me to take these steps and to solve these problems and build this company and do all the things that I've done, right? And for me, it was like, I would say overall, just resilience, you know? It was more just searching for my value, I guess you could say. Which I feel like a lot of guys struggle with. Like a lot of guys really do have issues with understanding their value and, because guys, it's like, I don't know, guys are interesting. It's like we always assign a dollar amount value to our worth, and it completely diminishes who we are because you're not always going to be making six figures. You're not always going to be making $1 million, $2 million, $5 million a year. And the matter of fact is like the majority of guys aren't making that kind of money. So with that being said, the majority of guys never believe that their life is worth anything. And that's where you have these guys that are putting so much time and effort into making money, but the reality is like they just haven't realized that they have worth regardless of the money. And that's, I think women do it like, and that's not to generalize, but like I think women have a like have a have it a little bit not easier, but like they understand their worth, right? Like whereas guys, it's almost like, and this is one of my biggest things is like I always struggled like with self-worth because I was like, if I'm not providing, if I don't have X amount of money in the bank, like nobody's gonna want to like be a part of my life, and that's just how I was raised. Like that's just how things were. Like if you're not providing for people, then you don't deserve people. And it's sad because it like isolates you a lot. you know there were times in my life where I would go days without talking to people and I would just work nonstop. Um and it's interesting because it's like once you take a second to like step back and be like, okay, well, I actually do have value. Like my life does have value, regardless of how much is in the bank, regardless of how much I made last year. I'm just going to believe it. Right. And the crazy part about that is like, once you believe that, then the people around you start to believe it as well. Um, and I'm going off on a tangent, but the people around you start to believe it as well. And then the crazy part is people start to value you as a friend, as a colleague or whatever. And then doors start to open up. Guys, the reality of life is like it, you'll get so much farther by having confidence and being a good friend than going to work and making $20 an hour. Like you'll get so much farther. And nobody understands this, but it truly is who, not how. And that's a title of this book. I haven't even read the book, but like I've had these conversations where it's just like I beat my head against the wall for the last 5 years in business trying to do one thing. And then I meet one person, they show me how to do it in an hour. And it just like, it'll absolutely blow your mind. But like, you just have to allow yourself to believe that you have enough value so that you can go talk to those people and that they'll value you. And it just makes life so much easier. But you have to invest time, energy, and money into relationships, not just into the things that we are fed. Like, like guys are just, man, I don't know what the deal is with guys, but it's like, we don't want to put one single dollar into anything that's not like a 401k or like your house or car payment. And it's like, bro, like there are things that are worth so much more than that, and believe it or not, but like the reality is like business is about relationships, whether you want to like listen to me or not. Like that's the reality. You can't cut everyone out and just work and expect to be successful, because hard work's not going to get you there. What's going to get you there is smart work, networking with the right people, investing in the right relationships, doing like believing in yourself and like believing that you have value. And once you can establish those things and then show up for the right people at the right times, like you'll get quote unquote lucky. But then you look back and it's like, but you had to take every step along the way in order to get quote unquote lucky. I had to move out of my hometown and start networking with high value people in order to get where I am now. Like, I met my wife at Natural Olympia. Had I not believed in myself and like been willing to invest time, energy, and money into getting to Natural Olympia, I never would have met my wife. I never would have met the Grants. I never would have met any of my coaches, my mentors, like any of my clients. Like, I literally would be sitting home in Price. Who knows what I would be doing? Like, but that's the reality of it, guys. It's like you have to invest in experiences and people, in yourself. And if you can do that over 401ks and cars and like the system tries to keep you in scarcity. Like, it tries to keep you in that mode of like just paying your mortgage and just paying the car payment and putting your money in your 401k. You know why? Because then you don't have the time, effort, and the time, energy, and money to go network with the right people who will show you how to make more money. Guys, not everybody can be a winner. Like, that's the thing. So you have two options. You either do what 99% of people are doing, or you go do what the 1% of people are doing. And yes, doing what the 1% of the doing what the 1% are doing is harder in the beginning, but in the long term, when you meet the right people and start making the right moves in life, it's so much easier. It's just that most people can't see past that step. Most people are like, oh, a $500 flight to LA, I can't afford that. And it's like, who are you meeting there? Right? Who's the person you're meeting there? Right? I literally just went and did a photo shoot with Alex Urban and CT Fletcher in LA, and it cost me like probably $600 to $800. And like, I get people who are like, oh, well, the flight's too much. And I'm like, bro, like, dude, if someone calls me, like, it blows my mind. I'm like, dude, I'm putting you in a room with like multimillionaires and people who are doing things in business. Whereas like, dude, I get one single text from one of my friends and he's like, come out to LA, done. Like, tell me when to book a flight, and it's not to be like irresponsible with money, but it's to plant seeds down the road, guys. Like, I'm meeting all of my idols. Like, I'm lifting with the people that I used to like dream, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm lifting with the people that I used to just think were like so far removed. And I'm like doing all this stuff that literally is just like, I don't know, like I'm living dreams, guys. And it's not to say like, I don't know. My point being, like, you just have to invest in the right relationships. And if you can't wrap your head around that, and if you can't do that, then you will be stuck investing in the things like, yeah, 401ks and houses and cars are nice, but like at the end of the day, when you are dead, when you're like at your funeral, nobody's going to be like, "Oh yeah, he drove a nice Ford F-150." Like, nobody's going to care. Yeah, he had a 4-bedroom house. That was sweet. Like, nobody's going to care, guys. So, with that being said, focus on the impact, right? What's the impact that you're going to make in your life, right? And dude, if I die, like if I don't achieve anything and like my funeral comes around and like if I don't, and I don't know, maybe that's selfish, but like if people are able to say like he believed in himself and endured till the end, that's like, I don't know what more you could ask for in life, like that's it. That's I don't know. Anyways, getting clear with the mission. What is it that you want to achieve? I guess that kind of came full circle. Our mission, and I've been sitting down and meditating on this quite a bit, but the Sovereign Lifestyle mission is to change the world in the way our lives were changed by empowering individuals to find freedom through discipline, strength through adversity, and growth through times of hardship by taking control of the one thing we have by taking control of the one thing we truly have 100% control over, our bodies. And I think that's something that really hit me because I was looking back at like my life, I was looking back at like all the times I've been through some hard stuff, like, and all the times I was dealt the worst hands in life, and like, I truly didn't deserve a lot of the, like, and this isn't to toot my own horn or whatever, but like, a lot of the time I was just kind of dealt really crappy hands, you know. There's a lot of times that I got things that I don't believe I deserved, but um with that being said, like, I look back and through all the hardship, through all the adversity, and like all the stuff that I had to go through, um I don't know. Like, there was just one thing that I always told myself, and it was that I could get better by going to the gym. Like, that's the place I start. You know, the one thing that I could do that day to make sure that I get better so that I don't get hurt again is showing up to the gym, you know, and at least giving myself that level of respect so that the thing that happened to me before will never happen again. And that was like, in my mind, that was what clicked for me, because it was just like, I just have to show up, and I have to show up over and over, and I have to just do everything that I can physically to get to where I need to be so that I can have that confidence and have that body, and you know, and I so that I can build myself into somebody that other people value, you know. And it's interesting because along the way I found out that people won't value you until you value yourself. So I started valuing myself. You know, I think that's something that, as an early or a late teen, early 20, or in your early 20s, like, I think that's a valid thing. Like, I think you're just trying to figure out life. But then into my late teens, I just kind of realized, like, hey, like, I've done a lot, you know, like, I'm a cool dude. I try my best in all my relationships, and I have to kind of give myself that grace of like, I'll never be perfect, but like, I do show up for my people as much as I possibly can, and I feel like that should be enough. And if you want to be a part of that, cool, and if not, oh well, you know. So, anyways, my point being, that was the idea of Sovereign right from the beginning, was like, control the one thing that you truly have 100% control over, and that's your body. And for me, like, I just always went back to that. Like, if I can just continue bettering my body, you know, and if I can continue showing up and building the person who I want to be over and over, day by day, eventually I'll get there. Um, and here we are, 7, 8 years later. But anyways, guys, that was a good little rant. If you've listened this far, thank you for listening, guys. As always, subscribe, like the video, come back for the next one. We will see you later. Go kill it and have a good rest of your day. We'll see you guys.